We are live on the internet. It's like magic. I'm not sure what changed from a second ago to right now, but now people can see us. So
okay, well, great.
How's it going again?
It's going wonderful, thanks. This is my first podcast, live social media, anything. So,
well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think you might be. I think you're going to be the second one that we've done outside.
Really? I figured the lighting might be a little bit better outside.
Lighting is much better outside. In fact, I'm thinking I should do it outside now because that's kind of cool. And you've got the pool in the background, which is kind of neat, you know?
Yeah, it's my office.
Your office, exactly. You don't have a fence, but I'll forgive you for that.
Yeah, I have a 6-foot fence.
Okay.
Surrounding the property.
Awesome. I'm in a pool fence. When I consider a fence, it's very different from what other people think.
Yes, I understand.
My fences are mesh. They got poles, you know, they build the concrete. So you were just saying you won Lifesaver of the Year this year.
Yes, I won Lifesaver of the Year award through the NDPA. From
the National Drowning Prevention Alliance.
Absolutely. It was a wonderful honor. Yeah,
it's a cool thing. And I was saying I was nominated for that one year. And I mostly wanted to win because I have a company called Lifesaver. And I thought that, you know, it just made sense that I should win the Lifesaver of the Year. And so what do you think prompted people to think you should win that award?
Well, I've been a drowning prevention advocate for 18 years now in Tampa Bay area. I've done a lot of things I've run a self-rescue swim lesson school as well for 18 years now. 4 years ago, I started a nonprofit organization called Water Smart Tots, and we provide water safety education to the community, as well as provide scholarships for financially underprivileged children and children with disabilities to receive one-on-one survival swim lessons.
Very cool.
So I've had a wonderful organization, far beyond what I've expected, through so many people embracing the concept, and it's taken off. We've educated every year we educate. We go to the preschools, we do preschool presentations for water safety. It's a very interactive, fun little 20-minute presentation on water safety, which is complimentary, of course. And we've given about over $40,000 worth of survival swim lesson scholarships, which benefited well over 300 kids in our 4 years of existence. So
that's really cool.
We're very proud of that.
Do you teach them all yourself?
No, we partner with 9 instructors now. I think we're up to about 9 instructors. We initially started exclusively to Hillsborough County, within Hillsborough County, but through lots of publicity and media, the awareness of our existence pretty much spread out, and we've had requests to go into Pinellas County. We've had Manatee, Sarasota, Bradenton. We pretty much are in about 4 counties now throughout Tampa Bay area. So, and we partner with instructors who specialize in the survival swimming methodology. They basically have agreed to a slightly reduced rate from their regular rate, and when students qualify for a scholarship, through the screening procedures, they choose the instructor that's closest to them, and they enroll with that instructor. And once they graduate the 6-week program, the instructor sends us an invoice, and Water Smart Tots pays for their lessons.
That's awesome.
Yep.
How does someone qualify?
If they are on Medicaid or some sort of government assistance, food stamps or Medicaid, they receive 100% free swim lessons, and they're valued at an average of $500. If they don't receive public assistance and they have a disability, they receive a 50% scholarship, just to help to offset the costs of like the therapy and other things that special needs kids have to continuously go through. So just kind of help offset that cost for them. But if they do have Medicaid, I'm sorry?
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Right. Yeah. So, and also the one-on-one attention for children with special needs. I mean, it's very difficult for them to really progress through a group setting organization. Their individual needs have to be met. So that's why we've included that into our scholarship requirements.
No, it's cool, and it makes sense. You know, I know that I can actually walk in the water. You know, I can't walk on land, but in the pool I can walk, which is kind of cool.
Oh, and yeah, very nice.
I haven't done it in a long time, but when I was a kid, I could. And I used to be able to swim decent, but not great. But yeah, water I think is a cool thing, especially any kind of physical mobility limitations.
Yeah, we've had lots of parents come back and tell us their occupational their therapists would say that they've seen improvement with this coordination or that coordination since they've started swim lessons. So it's kind of like a double benefit to them.
So do you when you have someone with a disability, and sorry, this is just I happen to be interested in it, but do you just try and get them as far as they can? Do you have goals for what they can,
No, everyone has succeeded. They've, it's probably taken them a little bit longer, but they've all succeeded. They've been able to swim for about 4 to 5 seconds in a horizontal posture with their head down. When they're tired and need to breathe, they roll onto their back and float, rest and breathe. When they're ready, they flip back over, continue swimming. So they've progressed through the whole thing. Like I said, it's just taken them probably a little bit longer, some of them, but they all get there eventually.
And what ages?
The scholarship program is for children ages 1 to 6.
Okay. And is that what age that you mostly teach?
That's the age that I mostly teach, and most instructors generally teach pretty much under age 4. It's a little bit older than what most of us teach, but we just figured with that kind of socioeconomic status, they're probably not been able to receive lessons earlier at a younger age. So we want to be able to make sure we target those children.
And what about that 6 months to 1 year gap?
I personally do. That doesn't qualify for a scholarship. But through my regular business, Watch Me Swim, I do treat children as young as 6 months, and they must be able to sit unassisted. That
makes sense.
Yeah. So, and those children just roll and float. They don't actually swim. They're not developmentally ready to actually swim, but they just roll and float, hold their breath underwater, rotate onto their back immediately, and rest and breathe and wait till help arrives.
And what schedule do you do for the lessons?
What do you mean?
So is it daily every day?
It's daily. It's daily every day. That's pretty much how all survival swim lessons are structured. They're one-on-one lessons, Monday through. Some instructors teach Monday through Thursday. Some instructors teach Monday through Friday, and it's about a 4 to 6 week program.
So about the same as other survival swim campaigns.
Other what? I'm sorry?
So about the same as other survival swim.
Yeah, they're basic, survival swim, whether it be ISR or Swim Life or infant aquatics, they're all pretty much all structured the same.
Are you connected to any of those, or are you separate?
No, right now I am not connected to anybody, but for 12 years I was an instructor and then eventually became a master instructor with Infant Swimming Resource. Awesome. So I was connected with them for 12 years, and I decided I wanted to really focus on Hillsborough County, my Tampa Bay area, and just kind of do more locally. And so I departed from them and pursued other avenues where I can be of assistance and to bring drowning prevention awareness to the community.
So, going back to, the beginning, what made you decide you wanted to do this? How did you go from, most kids when they're growing up in life, they don't think, when I grow up, I want to be a swimming survival instructor.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I mean, it could be.
A lot of my students now tell me they want to be an instructor. They practice it in the bathtub, according to parents.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Well, I was a paralegal. My career profession was a legal assistant. I did that for many years. And about 18 or 19 years ago, my son was 16 months old, and he was found floating face down in a friend's swimming pool while I was attending to my infant daughter, who was at the time a few months. Don't do the math, but they're less than a year apart. So the door to the fence door to the pool looked closed. It was a bird cage type setting. And I was just supposed to be there for a few minutes to pick up my friend, and we were supposed to actually head to the gym. But with that infant baby, you got to time the feeding and the diaper change. So I decided to just take care of all that at her house. And the bird cage door looked closed from a distance. My son wanted to go out. They had a little playroom from outside, and then there was the bird cage to the pool. I told my friend's son to go ahead and let him out, thinking that I would just be right there as soon as I finished attending to my infant daughter. Within just a few minutes, my friend just happens for no reason at all to look out the window and sees my son fully clothed, jacket, shoes. This was in February, face down in a pool, pretty much unconscious and not responding. And she let out this horrible scream. It's one of those screams that you know you never want to hear again, and you know it's something really bad. And I paused for a second to see if I could hear my son's cry, and I didn't hear a thing. And that's actually what scared me the most. And before I was able to get outside, I was on the phone with 911 saying that my son drowned. And I just knew it was bad not being able to hear anything. And then my friend by the time I was out there, my friend was trying to peel his clothes off. He was not responding. He was unconscious. He was completely blue. At the time, when you're in shock, you think because it's February, the water is super cold, that he's blue because he was cold. We were not processing that he was blue because lack of oxygen. We just focused on peeling off his cold, wet clothes at the time. And I was on the phone with 911. And it just occurred to me that I think my son is really dead. And I just fell to the ground, grabbed him, shaked him, screamed at him. And for whatever reason, the paramedics just happened to walk in, and he started coughing up all this water. So I don't know why or how he was saved, but he was. And we spent 24 hours in the emergency room at All Children's Hospital just for observation. And he was fine. He was fine, and just kind of really brought a lot of awareness. And it was a rude awakening, so to speak, that one, it could have very well ended up in tragedy. And two, you kind of go through life thinking, keep in mind, this was 18 years ago, so I was a lot younger and more naive. But you go through life thinking these things happen to other people. These things don't happen to me. And, but drowning does not discriminate, as we all are seeing more so in the media now with the Bode Miller family.
And I don't think you have to be younger to be naive on the topic. I think as a culture, we do a pretty poor job of educating people on, how dangerous pools are and the water is. And I mean, if you're on Facebook, you get comments like I do, I'm sure, that says, I just watch my kids. No. I don't need this, Yeah. That's just very ignorant. Yeah. And I was guilty of that. I was in that position. It's just very ignorant. And, thank God my son was, spared, and I was spared, and we were given another opportunity. And when I came home from the hospital, I immediately started researching survival swim lessons. And I came across infant swimming resource, and I immediately enrolled my son, and she had a wait list. And I was like, I'm not waiting. Put me in at any time or day or night. I don't care. I will make it work with my schedule. We need to get these lessons done. And so that's still going in very doubtful that anybody can learn anything, especially a child, in 10 minutes. I was very skeptical. Again, I was very opinionated. I was like, nobody can do that. That's not true. If children are able to learn such skills at such a young age, why isn't it well known and nationwide? Why isn't it like a requirement, honestly? And why don't pediatricians tell you that? Hearing it from so-and-so is one thing, but when you hear it from a pediatrician, that I think makes it more real. Like, okay, this is, these kids can truly learn to save themselves. It doesn't replace supervision, but it's just an extra layer of protection along with the safety fences and the supervision and the alarms and so forth. So yeah, I was amazed what he could learn. And from that point on, I was just still had, I guess, survivor's guilt, so to speak. I continue to hear on the news, so many kids are constantly losing their lives. It feels like constantly here in Florida, losing their lives to drowning. And I just went through life thinking, why was my son spared? Why? I mean, he was literally unconscious, and we didn't even do CPR. We just screamed and shook him, So, and I eventually called the instructor and said, I want to do what you do. And I went through training through infant swimming resource in 2000. Been teaching ever since, so that's very cool. Rewarding. You talk about the pediatricians, and I feel like I say this 3 times a week right now because it seems like it's coming to the surface. 'cause I didn't hear anything about pediatricians even 3-4 years ago. But now it seems everybody's kind of locked in on it, and it's good. I don't know if you saw Carrie Morrison's survey, which I said I think I feel like I talk about on every episode we do now, because I was so surprised by it. You know, I couldn't believe that only 15% of the parents who responded had been warned about the dangers of their backyard pool by their doctor. That's amazing to me, right? I mean, you know, I'm sure they talked about swaddling and SIDS, and they made sure the car seat was checked. Yeah. You know, they probably talked about nutrition and vegetables and, you know, teething and, you know, breastfeeding and all these other things that are really important. But only one of them is the #1 accidental killer of kids between 1 and 4, right? And that's the one they don't talk about, which blows my mind. It really does. You know, I thought we'd really come further than I guess we have. So yeah, I like that there's this kind of groundswell of people realizing, in our community at least, that pediatricians are really dropping the ball. And I think that's going to stop. I really do. Because I think since we all know it now, and there's a lot of people kind of focusing on, you know, reaching them. And there's only so many of them, right? Like we could literally put them all in probably a football stadium and talk to them all if you had to, you know? Or even smaller, probably. I don't know how many pediatricians there are, but you could get them all. You know, we can literally talk to each one at a time if you had to. So I think it's going to get better.
I agree too, and that actually made us more aware through my nonprofit organization, Water Smart Tots. We have decided to start also a campaign outreach to reach pediatrician and give them that educational material for water safety. And it's not just survival swimming; it's all aspects. We're creating the water watcher tags. We're going to include those in the water safety education, but we're also going to target OBGYNs and hospital education, because the hospitals provide education, whether it be babysitting education, CPR education, prenatal education. We're hoping to impact the local hospitals here and provide them with information that they can include in their education courses to include water safety and drowning prevention. So yeah, we're looking forward to getting that started in the fall.
That's awesome. So, so what's your plan of attack to reach pediatricians? You're just going to walk in the door and
one by one. We do have a pediatrician on our board through Water Smart Tots. We have Dr. Becky Pruitt. She's a local pediatrician, and we also have an ER physician who's on the board of directors, and they are part of the founding members of Water Smart Tots. So it's a collaborative effort, and we're going to meet in this fall and kind of put together, basically, whether it be a water safety bag or a water safety folder that includes a lot of water safety and drowning prevention tips, and just, again, to promote awareness. And if survival swimming lessons aren't for you, that's fine. I think as an American society today, we have the privilege of having choices and options, and you can choose what is right for your child, whether it be the survival swimming or the traditional. But most importantly, bring awareness that it can happen to anybody. It can happen anywhere, whether it be a bathtub, a canal, not just necessarily a backyard swimming pool. And I think it's important that the organizations, the bigger organizations, kind of unite and get on that bandwagon as a whole and support each other, because at this point, it's a community responsibility, and it's going to take a community to band together and really eliminate pediatric drowning in the United States.
No, I think you're right. And I think, like you said before, when it comes from a pediatrician, it just carries a lot more gravitas and a little more weight. And, you know, I think people take it a bit more seriously. And because you expect to be told from your doctor, you know, the things you need to worry about. And, you know, I won't say her name, but I think she's going to start some kind of nonprofit, I think. There was a pediatrician in Orlando whose daughter drowned.
Oh, no.
One of her twins a few months ago.
Oh, wow.
And she's been really active on Facebook since then. And I have a feeling she'll start something. But he said, you know, I am literally a pediatrician, and I didn't know. So if I didn't know, who would, you know? And you know, so I think her voice will be a powerful part of that.
Right. I definitely think it's equally as important, not just with pediatricians, but when a mom is pregnant, you get all this mailing and all this information and all this literature about every single thing you can imagine as it relates to children, you know, through your pregnancy, but you don't get any information about water safety and drowning prevention. So I think it needs to start even well before the child is old enough to see exists, is aware. I think it starts with educating parents before they have babies, and then we're educating them at the pediatricians as well. It's an ongoing process. It's not just a one-time education.
I was talking to somebody on the podcast, now I can't remember who, but they had an idea that I liked a lot, where they were saying that it should happen the first time that nurse gives the baby a bath in the hospital. You know, that first exposure to water, you know, which is kind of a cool, magical thing that your baby's, you know, getting bathed for the first time. And they're showing you how, essentially. But, you know, there should be a little water safety lesson as part of that, right? I mean, it's their first experience with water, you know.
Awareness, it can happen. I mean, just a few weeks ago, probably about a month ago now, a 12-month-old lost their life to drowning in a bathtub, where grandmother, who's a nurse at a big hospital here, she left them unattended just for a minute with an older sibling actually in the bathtub, and then she came back and the infant had drowned. So it's not just pools. So yeah, going back to the baths, you know, that education needs to be included as well.
Right, I think up to 12 months is more likely to happen in a bathtub, I think, right?
Yeah, 12 or 13 months, I think.
Yeah, and then from, you know, a year to 4 is pools, and then after that it becomes open water, right?
Open water.
That tends to be the lines with boys, especially, more than.
And then the ones that happen in pools are, you know, happen as you are well aware, is most of the time when there's more than one adult present. So everybody just assumes the other person is watching. And I think the biggest thing too is that everybody automatically thinks you're going to hear a child, you know, need help. Like if they fall, they cry. If they drop something, you're alerted. That's kind of what alerts us to go check it out. And with drowning, it's just silence. So I think that's important to kind of, you know, bring awareness. And I think that in return will make people more diligent to supervise, you know, constant adult supervision, because you don't hear a child calling for help when they're underwater.
Yeah. And they couldn't, even if they wanted to, right? They go into that. Go ahead.
Unless they roll in, unless they're floating. Exactly. Right. Yep. Yep. So personally, as an instructor, I prefer to have my students, when they're in their float, crying or making some sort of noise, than complete silence. And I do have kids that, I mean, they don't all cry, but when they do cry, I actually feel a little bit sense of relief that they can cry and be heard, you know, versus a child just hanging out, floating in complete silence. So.
I mean, that's kind of the best pool alarm, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd rather hear the kid crying than they're just kind of chilling back there quietly, you know.
Yeah,
you know, in case the float slips or whatever, you know.
Right. Exactly.
You only have, how long can a baby float?
Once they're skilled, it really doesn't take a lot of effort to float. It doesn't mean they're drown proof. It doesn't mean that they're, you know, not going to drown, but it just gives them a chance long enough for somebody to realize that they're missing and go out and check for them or hear them. So they're naturally buoyant. They're more buoyant than adults, so they can float without much effort. But, you know, you get temperature fatigue starts to set in, and you know, anything else can happen as while they're floating. But it's I've had students float for minutes, but like I said, it's just long enough, you know, hopefully not too long, that before parents realize that their child is out of sight and go check on them. But it doesn't take long. And but yeah, they're pretty much buoyant. It's effortless once they're in that floating position.
So I mean, have you ever had a child floating competition?
I haven't, but I can put one together and come get back with you on that.
That'd be kind of cool for you know, like a fundraiser kind of thing. You know, I know. I was talking to Nate. I can't pronounce his last name. Choshkal, I think. On Wednesday it was, and he does a treadathon. He used to be a competitive swimmer and a swim coach in Virginia at Old Dominion, and now he focuses on drowning prevention and water safety, especially on the international stage, and trying to get people in third world countries trained on how to teach other people how to teach water safety. And one of the ways he raises money is he does a treadathon where him and his swim team tread water, and people pay per hour, but like a run,
right.
treading water. But yeah, that'd be kind of cool to have kids floating, because I'm curious how long a 2-year-old can float for, if they had to. But
a 2-year-old would have learned the skills to get out of the float and flip over. Ultimately, you want them to get to safety and get themselves out of the pool. So the goal is not to let them necessarily stay there unattended, to get flip over and get themselves out and swim to safety. But the children in the group of 6 months to 12 months are not developmentally ready to do that, so they just roll and float.
Yeah, I'd be curious. And you're right. Those few minutes are critical. I have people, again on my Facebook who would say, well, if I had a pool fence, my kid could, grab a chair, drag the chair over, climb up on the chair, climb up over the fence. I'm like, yeah, probably, eventually, but if your kid has a half hour to climb over the pool fence,
right,
there might be a bigger problem.
Right.
And, and what it does offer you, just like the floating, is the most important thing you can have in that scenario, which is more time.
Exactly.
It's giving you more time to get to your kid, because as Morgan, Bode Miller's wife, put it, she keeps thinking about that 30 seconds. That's all it took.
Yep. And with my son, I honestly don't think he was unattended for more than a minute or two from the time he was let out the door. But like I said, it looked closed from a distance. It was just that much, just enough to pry your fingers in there. But yeah, it just took a minute. It just doesn't take long at all. Yep.
You said he was a little over a year?
Yeah, he was 16 months at the time.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, but he's 21 now, almost 22. So he survived. Yeah, he survived. We survived. And, like I said, I don't know if it was survivor's guilt, as I'm constantly hearing on the news about different children drowning, and imagine the parents, what they must constantly be going through every day. And I was spared of that and just wanted to make it mean something, and kind of devoted my life literally to drowning prevention and water safety. And I wouldn't change anything. I totally enjoy being in the field that I'm in and helping families and parents and providing education and saving lives ultimately.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool thing, right? And have you gotten people that have called you and said that they've, seen their kid use their lessons to save themselves?
Yes, absolutely. We do. I mean, like I said, most of the time when they do tell us, they're usually right there, barbecuing or something. There's adults there, but and they've watched it, and they watched it happen. And by the time they, got 10 feet closer, the child was already on their back or already had turned around to the side. So it was almost instant. So yeah, I get it all the time, and just makes it all that much more rewarding. That
is cool. And that's kind of a neat thing with the lessons, as opposed to fences, is, we never know which kids, would have had an accident,
That's true. That's true. But I'm sure fences save a lot more lives, so I'm almost positive of that.
I don't know about more, but it has to be some, right? I mean, there's no way.
There's got to be quite a few. Yeah, I just can't see it not working. So
after 30 years and tens of thousands of fences, there's got to be kids who have grown up to be 21 and like your son, who are walking around right now. What's he doing now?
He's a junior at Savannah College of Art and Design, and he just finished his internship in California. He's majoring in motion design, so he hopes to go in the movie industry.
Oh, really cool.
Yeah, actually, he starts his senior year in September, so he's going to his final year of college. So
that's awesome.
He's excited. Yeah.
And
I wouldn't have had that opportunity, and I don't know why. I don't know why he was spared, because he was blue. He was unconscious. We didn't even do CPR. We just screamed and shook him around, and like I said, he was just given a second chance, and thank God he was. So
that's amazing. And I'm sure your daughter also went through lessons.
Yep. At that point, when my daughter was 9 months, I put her through lessons, and you know, she's actually starting her junior year at St. John's University in Queens, New York. So
nice.
My kids all flew the nest. But so I just have more time now. It's kind of become my lifestyle. I think for most of us drowning prevention advocates, it's more than a job. It's kind of becomes your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Of bringing awareness and preventing drowning.
Yeah, it's pretty much all I do. So, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you.
And neither of them were interested about teaching kids how to swim?
No, I will say that I have two daughters. My oldest is 25 and my youngest daughter is 20. Mm-hmm. Since the Kardashians put a tweet about self-rescue swimming, they might be a little bit, now it's cool. Now what mom does is pretty cool.
Right.
So no, you know, to them, I think they were raised on it, and a lot of people ask them, you know, isn't that cool to see that? Isn't that cool what your mom does? And they're like, oh, if you say so. Yeah. You know, it's like they don't know any other way. It's like a normal thing to them. But no, they've chosen not to go in that path. And I tried encouraging them, but they're like, oh, you're doing enough as is. Let's just go find a different path. I'm like, okay.
You know, I forget, I don't know them very well, but whichever one is the mom, I think they're all moms at this point, but the first mom, I forget which Kardashian the first mom was. I don't know. Either way,
I'll ask my daughters. They'll tell you every single fact about them. So,
but she has one of our fences.
Oh, good.
I've seen it in pictures, like in their backyard.
Oh, nice.
And then I called my dealer out in LA. Like, you know what, Kardashian? She's like, oh yeah, we did. It's not cute, whatever.
Awesome.
You know.
Yeah,
like,
very good.
Nice job, lady. Yeah, way to
go. Good job. Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat when you have celebrities kind of on the bandwagon of and taking those safety precautions as they should.
You know, we've had a bunch. You know, John Travolta, Sandra Bullock, Tom Cruise, Jennifer Lopez, and Mark Anthony at both their houses in Miami and New York. Yeah, there's been a slew of them. You know, Tobey Maguire.
We've connected with your dealer out here in Tampa, or we've reached out to him, and hopefully, you know, we want to provide, like I said, Water Smart Tots, a nonprofit. We believe in all water safety prevention methods. So we would like to kind of work something out with him where we can include his information. We have CPR and we give out CPR information as well. So it would be great to have his literature out here. I forget his name, to be honest, but
his name is Quentin Sukop.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
He's got a weird name, so
yeah, so hard to remember. So yeah, my outreach coordinator has reached out to him, and hopefully we'll be getting his information too to distribute as part of our water safety campaign.
And his wife does swim instruction too, which is kind of cool.
Does she? Neat. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, she has a swim school in Tampa, or outside Tampa. But you know, actually, we owe you a pool fence. And you can choose to donate to somebody else if you want. But you know, the prerequisites for the Save a Life program is anyone who's had a fatal or non-fatal drowning, and you know, essentially there was a rescue involved and had to go to the hospital, which you fit all of that. You know, even though it was 18 years ago. So yeah, we owe you a fence. So
okay, well, we could use one.
We could do there. You know, or if you know somebody that could use it.
Yeah, definitely. Good. I'll keep that in mind. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, we do have a lot of people we donate fences to, but they're like, well, you know, we're going to fill in the pool or we're moving. You know, that happens a lot where they don't want to be. And they end up, you know, giving it to a family member, or they know somebody who couldn't afford it, or you know, that kind of thing.
Okay. So, good to know. Definitely put the word out there for that. Very good.
And then, you know, in Paul DeMello's case, you know, because of his twins, you know, we got two. So he, you know, he gave one of them away, I think, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
I've watched his. I have his notifications. I've watched him put up fences and you know, his own advocacy for water safety. It's pretty cool. I feel like we're a tight knit family, and everybody seems very passionate in what they do. And you know, I just really would like to see my vision, besides not having one more child drown, to the bigger organizations kind of unite and kind of work together in drowning prevention, and kind of respect all methods and all mean, if it saves a life, and ultimately it does, why does it matter if they chose, the survival swimming or the traditional type swimming lessons, or, and the fence and the alarms. I mean, ultimately we have the same goal in mind, and I don't think it should be that big of an issue, how they get there when it comes, to the end result.
Yeah. Paul actually is our chief giving officer, we call him. So he's the guy that actually goes out and, contacts families who we donate the fences to. And, normally they've had a drowning, so he can connect with them about that.
I've seen that.
And then he installs his own fences, obviously, as well. But yeah, you're right. And that's kind of why we, in 1989, when my dad coined the phrase layers of protection for the first time. I like your birds, by the way. That's cool.
Yes, thanks.
Yeah, that was the idea, right? These things don't have to compete with each other.
Exactly. They don't.
In the late 80s, there was the debate about which is the right solution. Is it fences? Is it alarms? Is it just supervision, period? Is it swim lessons? Which one is the thing you should do? And, he was sitting at a table with the Broward Health Department and the Consumer Product Safety Commission, and said all of them that you should have multiple layers of protection. And that was kind of the beginning of that, followed by a book he wrote in 1989.
Yeah, but, definitely. I mean, I agree. I mean, the as big as the problem is, there's no one solution, and there's no one organization that's going to fix the problem. It's going to take an entire community. It's going to take a bunch of different advocates from different arenas and different beliefs to unite and come together and respect each other. And but that's my vision. I would like to see that happen one day, and I think that's the only way we can truly prevent drowning and eliminate it once and for all.
Do you think we're doing a good job?
I think we're doing a great job. I do. I think we're doing a great job. I think there's a lot of room for improvement, and I think my big thing is unity. Going back to that whole unity thing, I've been involved with Infant Swimming Resource, drowning prevent the NDPA. I was an ambassador for the drowning NDPA in Tampa, and will be an ambassador for them again in the 2019 conference. So the more I meet people and continue to talk to people, the more I'm seeing how really divided we are in a sense, which, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that change. That's where I think the biggest improvement needs to be. But overall, yes, I think we are all passionate. We're all committed. I think it's become a lifestyle for many of us, and we are doing a great job. But I think ultimately that unity has to be there, and the powers that be have to come together, the bigger organizations.
What do you think is the cause of that separation?
The methodology. I think the lack of understanding and the lack of education in the methodology, partially, but I also think that people feel threatened. I don't want to try to put this in the most politically correct way, but everybody wants credit, exclusive. It's that exclusiveness to credit, but you'll never get there if that's what you're looking for.
Right.
The ultimate the solution, the vision to eliminate drowning is never going to get there if everybody is just looking for that exclusivityness and that exclusive creditness, because it's bigger than that. It's bigger than one organization.
Yeah, 100%. There's only, the problem is too big for, us to point at, one person or one organization to be like, that's the guy that cured drowning. That will never happen. Everybody can take credit for their part in it, their little piece in it if they want, or some credit, but ultimately even with the specific methodology of the survival swimming school, I think without a team of people coming together and learning and educating themselves about it, and then becoming instructors and working in their own community in many aspects, I mean, you can't take credit because I think it's all the instructors as well that went through that training to teach and provide these same skills and bring awareness and within their community and talking to people and educating people. So it's going to take all different organizations to come together to eliminate pediatric drowning. Yeah, I think so. And I would like us to be nicer to each other,
I agree. Because we set an example. I mean, yeah, it's. Yeah. I understand. I completely agree with you. I think respect is the biggest thing. I think this is what you believe, then that's fine. It's what I believe. Doesn't mean I'm going to not respect another organization's belief and efforts to prevent drowning. I think respect among the bigger organizations is important too, and I would like to see that, and I believe we'll get there hopefully one day.
I saw a video of a mom who lost a child, and she was watching her other daughter get trained, and it wasn't a formal swim lesson, but it was a swim instructor. It was Johnny Johnson, who's a famous. He's trained Olympians. He's been around for literally forever. He was, past president of the NDPA. Literally a legendary swim instructor. And they weren't doing a formal train. They were just playing in the pool with his daughter. And almost all the comments were other swim instructors telling him what he was doing wrong, and how dangerous it was, and how wrong she was, and and she kept saying like, oh, they're just hanging out in the water, like this isn't like really a lesson, they're just playing, and up to your other kid's gonna drown, and this is so terrible.
Yeah, no, that's not the way to present.
What are you people doing? This is
terrible. Yeah, no, I disagree. Like I said, it's just respecting all different methods and options. I mean, we choose as parents, we have the opportunity and the privilege and the luxury of choosing so many things for our children, whether it be private school, public school, breastfeeding, bottle feeding, whatever it may be, gymnastics or soccer or homeschooling or not. We have so many options, and there is no one fit, one method fits everybody or every family or every child. So I don't believe in, I think just education of the options, just like with anything else. And as a parent, we choose, and, our choices should not be belittled in any way, because there's no one fit for everybody.
And I agree with that.
Having the option to choose is a luxury. So just a matter of getting the correct information out there to parents so they can make that, that wise decision, what's best for them. And it's the right way to present the information.
It is. And so many people do nothing at all. That they, I think that anyone who is doing, something right should get better for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Something is better than nothing. Absolutely.
I mean, we even say that when it comes to CPR, right? You're better off doing.
Yeah. And I listened to Dr. Is it Entebbe? I don't know how to say his name. Dr. Entebbe, the ER that presents at the NDPA, the ER physician. Yeah. When he said doing something, and doing something is better than doing nothing. And I think back to my son's situation. I mean, we literally just screamed and shook him around trying to peel off his clothes. So maybe, yes, maybe that helped. I don't know, but definitely doing something is better than nothing.
I don't know if you met Laura Metro when you were at the NDPA conference. She does CPR Party.
Yeah, yes, because the name sounds familiar. Yes.
Yeah. And her son Clay drowned in a pool, and they yanked him out, and a bystander started doing CPR, who had never taken a CPR class.
Oh, wow.
He literally started doing what he'd seen on TV.
Okay.
Wow. And then the paramedics came, and he was, helivacked away. And Clay was in a coma for a while and ended up being okay eventually. Now he's 100% fine, thank God. Yeah. But, they credit the guy who did, CPR.
Something.
Yeah, who didn't know what he was doing, but he probably saved that kid's life.
Yeah.
So that's when she started doing CPR Party, where it's like a Tupperware party or any one of those parties, but you learn CPR instead.
Yeah, we're actually putting one together this fall in October with the CPR organization, and it's going to be a CPR party / fundraiser for Water Smart Tots as well. So
that's cool.
That's going to happen in October. Yeah. So, I got the idea from the CPR party, from attending the NDPA. Let's make it a party and, include a fundraiser with it. So, that's that whole unity of collaborating and taking ideas and from other people and other advocates and implementing them in your community. I think the more is merrier and better. And like I said, we can all, benefit from each other and, you know, implement what we've learned or what we choose to implement and choose not to. But the options are there, and it's unlimited.
Yeah, and what's nice about that is you don't get certified, but you learn something, right? And you know, if you walk away with the basics, and you know, you can do CPR like that guy who watched it on TV, you know, you could save somebody.
Yeah, something is better than nothing. I definitely believe that.
Absolutely. So if somebody wants to make their pool safer, you know, what do you recommend parents should do?
If somebody wants to make their pool safer, well, in Florida here, we do have the law. They have to have this pool safety fence, but I don't think it's one method. I think it's multi. We believe in a multi-layer approach to prevent drowning, which includes the fence, the alarms. I even installed a ring. There's a ring camera on a post on my pool, the ring. So I even installed that, and I have the motion when I'm not using it. There's the motion thing that goes off on my phone, and that I thought was pretty cool. I'm like, I used it for my doorbell, and I'm like, I wonder if I can take this same thing. And it's not a doorbell, it's a floodlight. They have the floodlights. I wonder if I can take this same concept and put it out there, and it's as for outdoors. So when there's motion around the pool, it rings to my phone sends me a signal, and you can get a live view of what's going on, whether it be a leaf or the dog jumping in the pool or whatever. So yeah, I do have that installed. I have the 6-foot barrier. Plus, I mean, I don't have little kids, but my pool is an above ground pool, so that serves as a barrier itself. But all layers, the safety fences, the alarms, video cameras, teaching your child to swim, and knowing how to do CPR is important. So it's a multi-layer approach. It's not one method.
I think the Ring doorbell is a great idea. I have one on my door, and now I'm thinking I need to stick with it in the backyard, you know?
Well, yeah, and it's not it's the Ring doorbell. It's Ring, but they have the floodlights. I don't know if you're aware, or this is actually, they have the floodlights, but which I have as well back here. But they also have the spotlight. It's called the spotlight out there. So when there's motion, the light at night, it just comes on. But when there's motion, whether the light is on or not, I get a notification on my phone. So I love that idea.
That's really cool. You know, and I know there's some companies that are trying to do that, but identify if it's a child or not, and then.
Yeah, I did learn about that. I briefly kind of got a little information about that.
Yeah. We lost you. Oh, you're cutting in and out. She's gone. Oh, you're back. We can't hear you, but you're back. Nope. I mean, I can see you, but I can't hear you. Yes, no, maybe. Something. We'll give her a second. I like that Ring doorbell idea. That's really cool. I don't think we ever, because I've got one on my door, and it does give you a notification if someone walks up, and it does a history, so you can see prior things. They should, you know, that's the problem with calling something, right? If you call it a doorbell, you want to put it by the front door, but if they just called it like a Ring motion camera, then you wouldn't just be thinking about it on the front door. You'd be sticking it everywhere. I think that's a good idea. I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to buy a Ring doorbell, which they should rebrand appropriately, and I'm going to stick it in my backyard as a pool camera. It's a really good idea. I think that has a lot of applications. And she's right. It notifies you right on your phone, and you can open the notification on your phone. You can see what's going on live in real time. You can hear. It's got a microphone, so you can pick up what's going on. And there's a speaker on it too, so you can actually use your phone to talk out to it. Not that you're gonna say anything to somebody who's drowning, but if some 16-year-old is in your pool, you can yell at them, I guess. Oh, you're back. We can't hear you though. Maybe unplug the headphones. Nope, I still can't hear you. Nope. Very strange. No audio. She's going inside. but I can see you. So I would say if you unplugged the headphones, you might be better off. But, well, no big deal. So this is Kari, and we'll try one more time. If not, I think we're about to end anyways, so we can wrap it up if she doesn't make it back. But I think that doorbell idea alone was really cool. And she was getting through the layers of protection, which I agree with 100%. I did want to clarify that bit about the law, though. I can't hear you. Did you try unplugging the headphones from the computer? Yeah. All right. Well, here's what we'll do. We were about done anyways. So one quick thing I'll tell everybody, even though you can't hear me, I can't hear you. I was going to say about the law is that in Florida they changed it so that a fence is an option, but you can also now get the floating pool alarms, which I think is a bummer. The door and window alarms were not as good, but the floating pool alarms was last year, and that sucks. But in any case, you're Kari Bahour, and your nonprofit is at watersmarttots.org, right? Thumbs up, good. And if anybody wants to learn more about you, they can go to watersmarttots.org and check out your nonprofit. You're doing great work. Thank you so much, and we will talk to you really, really soon. Thanks. Have a great day. Goodbye. Goodbye, everyone. It's Friday.